All right, with the NBA season right here, it's ready to go. It's hot and ready in the oven. Thought I'd give you my West standings of how I see it fit. Now, of course, we know that's not how it's going to be. I was like, I'm a mad scientist, but I ain't crazy. Um, yeah, no, I was like, I feel like the West is about to be tight as hell this year. And it probably I was like probably the closest it's been in like the last like 4 or 5 years. You know where it used to be like 12 teams deep. Except for now, this we got to play in. You haven't got a chance, despite if you had like a better record, the winning record. You know where how like back in the day it'd be like Phoenix was over here like with 45 wins and they can't make the playoffs when it was like Eric Bledsoe versus like the East where that'd be like number three. Something crazy like that. That's how I feel like this is about to be that type of close. Um, I just feel like their teams are a lot more stack loaded than anything on the East, and they got a lot more young teams that I feel like are like prime as like threats as well too. That way, it's just not going to be like the veteran teams getting in there. But to start all off, we're just going to go ahead and get rid of like the teams that's might be like fun to watch. Some cool like stories in it, or maybe you like a player here and two. But I was like the Rockets. I don't. I was like they added Van Vliet, they added Dylan Brooks. They added Jeff Green. Some veterans to go with the young players. But I mean, you still got a whole team of young players that ain't done anything credible at all. Not like any of the other teams I'm gonna talk about where they've done something where it's like, oh, I can see improvement. Oh, like this team was just like there, just a bunch of young people playing. I was like, Jabari sort of had a good summer league, stuff like that. But nothing. Those dudes, I was like, and those veterans, they're good people and good blocks to have like when you already have like a core there. But with this team, they're just here just to sort of guide and help Udoka get things right. Uh, then I think the Spurs. Uh, I was like, I don't think they're gonna. It's not that I think they're gonna be bad like some of the other young teams. It's more so that I can see by towards the end that we start sending Wimby, we start sending some players, they start flipping some players because this sort of the part where it's like, okay, cool, you want this dude over here? I was like, yeah, that's cool. I was like, a first, a couple seconds, that's where I see this at. That's why I don't think that they're going to like, I think unless they were like it's All Star break and they're like number like say they're 6 seed. But even then, I was like, well, like one of the teams I'm gonna talk about the Jazz. I was like, we see how that went once they was in the playoff race, and then all of a sudden something happened where they just stopped being out of it. I was like, then the next one, the Blazers. I think Aiden's gonna have a pretty good year. I think he's gonna try to show like basically I could have been doing this in Phoenix. I just didn't have the opportunity. And I think he's gonna get a chance too. I don't. I think they're gonna try to get rid of Jeremy Grant. I don't think they're gonna. I was like, I could see them getting rid of Time Lord. Brogdon, I was like, I think if the right offer come, but I could see them trying to keep him to go to play with Scoot and Simons and Sharp just because he's a veteran presence that's not going to really take any limelight or anything away from the youngsters in the way. Even though I know he wants to play for a contender and stuff like that. I mean, I think those three will be gone, but I could see him staying at the three. I guess he won't be asked for much for like the other two, but he doesn't get in the way of playing time like the other ones as well at the same time. I was like, then I think the Jazz. I think they'll try and they'll get close to being like in the playoffs or playing in, but I think at the towards the end, the team will have them pull up and be like, nah. And I was like, we're good enough. Or like hoping like, oh, let's go on this 5 game losing streak. Yes, start sitting their asses. I think that's how we're gonna get down to that one. And before we get to the who I think of being the playoff play-in bubble, I think it was hard for me to do it, but the Grizzlies. I think that now knowing that Steven Adams was gone for the year, which I mean he sort of semi played last year anyway, and sort of been like he's would have been hurt like this anyway. Ja being gone to 25 games, they got rid of Tyus Jones, who with that crew been able to be a steady hand while Ja been hurt and stuff. I think Marcus Smart will be good in that spot, and I think people are underestimating what Rose can still give them. I'm not saying Rose going to look like how he was like 3 years ago or something like that, because old age get everybody. But I think with the rest of the West, this is going to be a concern. If there was probably any other year, I don't think it'd be, because if you go like, say you go like 12-12, something like that. I know that's not exactly 25, but you get what I'm saying. Then I'd be like, okay, that's pretty good, especially at the start of the season. But if they go, but if they go like let's say they only win like 7 games in their first couple, I could see that being a problem when you still like, damn, we still got the whole season. Now we're gonna have to work harder. You know, I think that's just gonna be too much for them. So number 10, with their chance of almost being out, I think the Pelicans. You can't really ever count on, yes, Zion, how it's been so far. But also Brandon Ingram's been banged up quite a bit, and so is CJ McCollum. They don't ever play all three together, because they always, or someone is hurt of that linkage. And while, yes, last year before Zion got hurt, they was like top in the West, but also like how a lot of people said, I was like, Lakers was in disarray. I was like, the Clippers had they off and on stuff. Uh, you know, uh, Golden State was having some of their trouble. Steph Curry got hurt. Um, the Mavs were doing good and they dropped. So I'm like, so many things happened that it's kind of like, now I was like, we're starting out the thing healthy, so we're gonna see. They might be able to by the end, but how their luck goes, they get unhealthy at the worst time, and that's why they're almost close. Then after that, number 9 is the Mavs. I think they get what was happening towards the end of the ball sharing dudes and all that stuff. I think they get that solid. I think they sort of figure it out. I just think the West is more tough, where it's like, okay, cool, Kyrie and Luka, and how the rest of the team gels. Like, does Tim Hardaway, can he get his shooting stroke back from a couple years ago? Is Kleber going to be able to be a little bit more healthy? How does Grant Williams seem when he's sort of like your number 3 here, to be honest? Can Josh Green step up, and so can Hardy? There's so many ills. They draft, they got Rashad Holmes, and I was like, that should help out the center spot. With also some points down low. They drafted Lively, but how does he work with their mix? They just got a lot of new parts here. That's kind of like, that's like, you got to see how that all mesh. And by the time it meshes, it might be just towards too late to the end of the year. Sometimes that's how it goes with some of these teams. Then after that, number 8, sort of making it into the actual playoffs, but still got to play in the play-in, the T-Wolves. I think Anthony Edwards is primed to go. They'll have Conley for the whole season. I was like, McDaniels will be able to play instead of how he hurt himself in the damn playoffs. I feel like they found something with Nickeil Alexander-Walker, so I think that will help a lot. Cat Williams not Cat Williams. That's hilarious. He is funny though, the way he plays sometimes. Anthony Towns is always a pretty good regular season player anyway. It's always a postseason where he sort of gets into trouble. But I think they'll have a little bit better understanding with him and Gobert this year as well too. That's where I was like, but I still don't think the talent is there all the way for the team to overcome the rest of them. I think Edwards can be that big big difference, but you need Anthony Towns to really show up in order to be a threat. And I was like, right now we just might be too long in the tooth to be wondering that happens. Then number 7, I have Golden State. I really just don't know they have enough depth. I was like, you're really banging on Kuminga and Moody in order to really get this thing going. Because Draymond Green's gonna be hurt for like the first couple of weeks as well too. So, they're going to play without him, but then once they also insert him, how do you do the start lineup with Paul and Looney and Clay than Wiggins. Steph was guaranteed a spot. We're not even talking about that. But like like does Paul keep in the starting lineup? Does he go to the bench? I was like, who else do you have really on the bench that's really like worth anything, or when you could get like some solid minutes and stuff like that out of them. So I think that's going to be a problem that they're going to deal with, combined with that lack of depth and figuring out who comes off the bench and stuff like that. Because if it's Clay, that could be a problem. Also with Dre, I was like, but you can't have Looney because then you're playing ultra small. You don't want Wiggins because technically he's probably your second best player on that team. It's gonna be a work in progress. Number 6 I have is the Clippers. I think that one of the two, mainly Paul George. I think Paul George really is the one that's the health that can stay healthy of the two with Kawhi. And also Kawhi is always like something where it's like it's his like knees and stuff like that, or where it's like we expect it. Paul George really just has some freaky ass injury where it's just like we're like, how did that happen? When did that happen? He always got weird ass injuries in a way that makes me think like his is like freaky and freakish in a way where it's like it can't happen again, can it? So, but I feel like he's more healthier than Kawhi. I was like, also with Westbrook having a whole full year, I think Westbrook with this cast does a lot better than he could with the Lakers cast to keep them afloat for majority of the season. That if one or two, both of them go down, it's not dire panic here. And also too, I guess we got to look out in case of James Harden coming through, but I don't think the Harden trade will be early enough to impact their season. It's more, but I think they'll be solidified once sort of the halfway point gets here, or whatever. So we'll see how that goes. Number 5, I thought about it. I was like the Kings. I thought about putting them lower just because. Not that last year was a fluke, but I think that they caught everybody off guard and a sort of like beating down West that I thought that they had, they got the opportunity to do so and they took advantage of it. And this year they got basically the same cast with no new additions, and I don't think the defense will be as bad as it was last year, but you didn't change anything, so I can't expect it to be any better. But also being a young team, I think that's where they could catch a lot of these teams lacking. As you'll see, like one of my other picks. But I was like, Fox, I think he finally was able to come on the rise and show everybody what he could do. Sabonis has been really good for all the time. We already know that. I think the biggest step is to see what Keegan can do. If I was like, to see if he can take that next step, because I think that would help a lot in their production, and maybe they might, see if they could swing a trade or something like that. But I doubt it. Barnes is sort of their veteran. I don't see that really changing anything. But I like for also, and with a couple of these teams, it's like when it's the regular season, this is sort of where they shine at because you can outdo. I like you could just being young sort of helps in a lot of this in this situation more so than like in the playoffs where it's like it's a little bit difficult when you playing against veteran teams. That's like we just gonna wear your ass out, bro. That kind of thing. Even though you would think the youngsters would from that type of end. Number 4, the Lakers. Mainly because I feel like they're gonna try to start off hot, so that when LeBron decides to chill, or him and AD that you could sort of count in for getting hurt, does that, they are not in a up shit's creek position. I think this is how they're able to basically weather that storm. I think they're gonna come out on fire and hot and try to build up a lead strong enough to where they can coast because they don't have to go hard to get the number 1 seed and like that. That'd be great, for the Lakers to get the number 1 seed for their, how they play and their fans and all that other stuff. But I think that they're going to settle right here. They just want to have home court for most of it. I think that's what they're going to really try to do here. Number 3, OKC. I think they're basically going to take advantage of the way like the Kings did. And I think they're just going to be young, come out hot. They got a lot more players, I think, that can impact the game in a way like the Kings did, where they just got a bunch of offensive dude with Shea, Giddey. I was like, Dort, you don't think of as an offensive dude, but he could put up points. Chet is coming through. I was like, they got 2 Jason Williams. They got Isaiah Joe. They got I'm like, yeah, they just got a plethora of dudes that I think that they all just sort of play, and they all just are just coming out here just ready to go. And I feel like this is their time. They were so close to making the play in last year or whatever. I sort of rather, I like, even much I like Anthony Edwards, I thought that they had a better chance of matching up better against the Nuggets. Like the Nuggets would have still won, but I feel like that would have been a more even matchup. It wouldn't have been 105 like the damn Timberwolves was in that type of way. But yeah, I think they're going to take advantage. They're going to come out swinging. I think they're going to be the young hungry when it goes up there, like we've seen like in past year, where it's the Grizzlies or the Pales at times, and the Kings last year. They're just going to be the new young ones on the block. In saying that, number two, I think it's the Suns. I think almost sort of like the Lakers. I think they're going to come out really strong, really fast, really early, just in case one. Like, not saying that that's what they have in mind of like necessarily just in case one of them gets injured, because you don't ever think about that or plan that. But it's that sense of if we get out here so early, if something happens, we're fine. Also, regular season, and I feel like in the regular season, you can outscore everybody and just basically win that way the whole entire time. Not on like how like Golden State did, because they also played defense, but you just knew like it was about to be reckoning. But you could sort of get away with that the especially the very beginning of the season of just offense, just offense, just offense, because nobody's ready for it. I was like, it's so much free space, and I just feel like that's how they're going to pretty much get into this spot. And I think, and I was like, Booker have been a little dinged up here and there, but he hasn't been in the same injury woes as like Bradley and Kevin Durant. And I think I think Bradley's going to be a little bit more healthier now that he doesn't have to shoulder the load as well. Kevin Durant, we'll see, but I think they're just going to come out and ready to smoke everybody. And then number one, the Nuggets. I was like, except for like a couple players, they pretty much have the same people. I was like, all their players are relatively young as well too, so that's why they don't take a dip like some of the other veteran type teams as well. I was like, you got Murray here, and I'm pretty sure they're going to be on a mission to try to get him the All-Star thing, so they're going to play out. I was like, you got Gordon and stuff like that. Jokic is still, like, there's no crazy weaknesses here to where like they wouldn't take number one again. I think that's just what they're going to do. I was like, they're pretty much schemed for that. Anyway, those are my West standings. I was like, what do you think? What is your order? Where do you think I might have a little bit of like, that's not going to happen, or like, you were wrong about this team? I was like, let me know. If you like this video, I appreciate it. Thanks. If not, hey, maybe next time. But until then, see you, I guess, with this at the end of the season.